Welcome to Her Own Boss, the podcast and community designed to help you find your inner entrepreneur. Her Own Boss is created by Anissa, Megan, Sarah, Lucy, Nikki, and me, Ben, as we start our careers and learn from the inspiring women who can help us along the way.
Hey everyone, this is your host Nikki, and today I'm speaking to Amari Korpal about a topic that is very close to the team's hearts: graduate uncertainty. Amari and I openly discuss how we both felt towards the end of university, and Amari shares how she managed her uncertainty and stayed positive as a recent graduate. Amari graduated from the University of Nottingham in 2019 with a degree in politics and international relations before founding the Graduate Diary, a blog and Instagram page dedicated to sharing the stories of recent grads. Enjoy!
This episode is sponsored both by Rise, created by Barclays, and Barclays Eagle Labs. Rise and Eagle Labs are on a mission to support female founders shape the future of entrepreneurship by providing access to networks, mentorship, and training. Search Rise, created by Barclays, or Barclays Eagle Labs to find out more.
Hi Amari,
Hi,
how are you doing?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, I'm well, thank you. So I'm so excited to have you on the podcast today, and I think this Minisode topic is going to be very therapeutic for me to talk about, but hopefully it'll be really helpful as well. So we're going to cover graduate uncertainty. To start, when did you finish uni and where did you go to uni and all of that stuff?
So I went to Nottingham and I graduated in 2019, which weirdly feels like ages ago. But yeah, it wasn't actually that long ago.
How did you feel when you finished uni?
So when I finished uni, oh my God, so on the day that we finished, it was like the most surreal feeling. I don't know if it happened with you, but I was super dramatic and I was like crying my eyes out. And it wasn't even like sobbing, it was like hysterical crying. And looking back, it probably wasn't necessary at all, but I think I was just like overwhelmed with emotions and I wasn't ready to like move on to being an adult, if you know what I mean.
Absolutely. I think that last moment, so for me, the last day that I had exams, it was completely like a release of built up emotion, because you're
Mhm.
obviously under all this stress to do your final exams, do your final assignments, do your dissertation, and then there's the anxiety of thinking forward, and you're like, what am I going to do once I finish? Do I have stuff planned for the summer? And then I don't know, I got really bad imposter syndrome, and I was comparing myself a lot to the people around me. And so then when you finally just get to a point where you let all the emotion out, it felt really good, but then a lot of that uncertainty also didn't go away straight away. So hopefully we can cover that in this episode.
Yeah, what were your plans after uni? Like, did you have a grad scheme lined up or what was your situation?
Mhm. So I didn't actually have a grad scheme lined up. I had an internship lined up. So
Cool.
I guess that was a bit different in that it was good that I was glad I had a job ready, but it was only for a few months. And then there are obviously people around me that had grad jobs and full-time jobs or masters lined up. And I was kind of like, well, I'm going to do the internship and
Mhm.
then I don't know, maybe I'll go traveling, maybe I'll get a job. I didn't really know what I wanted to do. How about you?
No, that was literally the exact same as me. I had an internship with the civil service, and all my friends had grad schemes lined up, and they knew what they were going to do for the next 3 years. And I was like, okay, I'm doing this internship, and then I'm going to go traveling. So I was kind of preoccupied, but I was also a bit like, I don't know what I'm going to do kind of in the next 5 years, sort of thing. So I was quite apprehensive about that.
Yeah, completely. I feel like we've had really similar experiences there. I feel like we've covered some of them already, but what factors do you think play into that graduate uncertainty or graduate stress kind of leading up to graduation? And then also, like you say, sometimes it hits you a bit later as well.
Mhm. I feel like it's the sense of no direction whatsoever, because at school you have everything planned out for you, right? So you kind of always know your next steps. So you have your A levels, and then if you know you're going to uni, you kind of know that you've got the next 3 to however many years of your life sorted. But after university, if you don't have a job, then you're like, what do I do next? And that's definitely what I had. It kind of comes to a halt, and that's when you feel uncertain and stressed about everything because, well, for me anyway, I was looking into the future and I was seeing nothing. Not to be dramatic, but
Mhm.
I just couldn't
Yeah.
imagine myself in an when I came back from, if I was gonna go traveling, coming back and seeing myself in a job, I couldn't imagine it. I just couldn't see it. It seems so far away, like that prospect. So yeah, and then obviously with the pandemic and stuff, that's been a huge factor in graduate uncertainty
Mhm.
and stress. Like it's one thing trying to find a job anyway, but trying to find a job during a pandemic is just a different story.
Yeah, completely. And I mean, I feel almost quite lucky that by chance I graduated in 2018 and not in the last few years. I have to like really like take my hat off to all the people that graduated in the last year, because there are lots of stats showing that people around our age and even a little bit younger have been, hardest hit by the pandemic, not to mention any other, like demographic factors that might play into that. So it's been a very, very tough one. So what are some of the other options when you finish uni? So obviously we kind of talked about how lots of people had grad schemes, and that feels like,
Mhm.
something that would have alleviated our stress, because then at least you know that like for the next few years you've got this job. But what are some other like things that you can do to hopefully like alleviate that stress and like have a plan without having a grad scheme?
Yeah, there's so many other options. I feel like everyone kind of has tunnel vision for grad schemes. I definitely did, but
Mhm.
there's like startups you can join, internships, entry level roles. Like I'm currently right now, I'm doing an internship and I love it. And if I didn't have a grad scheme lined up for September, I would like 100% look to stay on. And I know loads of other people that do these with internships as well. And I also find like with joining an internship or a smaller company or entry level role, like it kind of does help you define what you like and what you don't like as well. Because at the end of the day, it's like the best opportunity to learn, like working from the ground up. But obviously, with a grad scheme, you are kind of tied down to like a few years of your life with that company. So yeah, like if you pick the right internship as well, you can get really great hands-on experience. And I feel like with smaller companies, your voice is always heard a lot more as well.
Yeah, definitely. I think you're so right. Finding things like internships and grad schemes where you can dip your toes in. Well, it's more than that. You kind of throw yourself into an industry and get all of that experience is like really, really valuable. So, do you have any other tips for managing the uncertainty that comes around graduation? So, whether that be like leading up to the end of uni or afterwards?
Yeah, I feel like so for me with uncertainty, I kind of link it with the job search and getting rejections and stuff. I don't know about you, but I always see a lot of advice about like people saying, "Oh, like don't get bogged down in rejections." And obviously I think, yeah, try not to. But I also think it's important to like acknowledge how you feel. And if you do feel hard done by a company, then that's okay. Like if you feel like crying for days because your dream job got given to someone else, then fine, like cry your eyes out. I just feel like to really move on and come to terms with it, you've kind of got to process job rejections. And especially when you've got into like the final stages of job applications, like if you sent a CV and then got rejected, okay, then clearly that wasn't meant to be. But if you've poured like hours, and I know you probably know
Mhm.
how long it takes, like hours into cover letters, online tests, video interviews, phone interviews, assessment centers, etc., and then you get rejected, it's a very bitter pill to swallow.
Mhm.
So I feel like people need to allow themselves time to just like refocus and acknowledge how you feel and allow yourself to feel sad. And then, like, have a growth mindset and then learn from those experiences. Like, the chances are what you did on those applications was not wasted and you'll be stronger for the next. So it's always like a good experience. And I think dealing with job rejections isn't as simple as just get over it. Because
Mhm.
even though people will say it's not personal, you can't help feeling like it is. Like you can't help the way you feel. And I think trying to like suppress those feelings just to move on quickly isn't actually that beneficial. Like if you say the job wasn't clearly meant to be, it's one thing to say it, but it's a different thing to believe it. And then like, once you do believe it, you'll be able to apply yourself better and probably be more focused as well. And I feel like that will help managing kind of the uncertainty and stuff of getting jobs after university.
Definitely. I think it's so frustrating when you see posts on, LinkedIn or whatever saying just like you said, like, oh, pick yourself up, move on, apply to the next one. But it's so hard when you've literally spent weeks applying to so many jobs and you think you found one you're going to get, and then you get that rejection letter. I think
Mhm.
acknowledging how you feel is so, so important. What are some of the ways you
Yeah.
did that? Like, are you like a journaler, a meditator? Did you just talk about it with your friends?
I mean, I didn't used to journal, and then when the job rejections were really getting me down, I
Mm.
started to journal a little bit, and it did help a little bit. But I think I also, so if I got rejected, I would probably just give some time off, because I was in such a mindset of like, I need to be applying to X amount of jobs a day and I need to be focused and stuff. But I was also burning myself out, and it was just not
Mhm.
that productive. Like, it was just completely counterproductive. Like, doing that many job applications and then dealing with the rejections at the same time. So there was one interview that I had that was just disgustingly bad, and I just decided to stop applying for 2 weeks after that, because I wasn't in a good
Mm.
mindset to be focusing on other job applications. I was too caught up in that one, and I know it sounds really pathetic, but I was really set on it, and I didn't get it, so
Mhm.
I was sad, and I also really struggled to understand where I went wrong, because I didn't get any feedback despite being at the final interview. So I had to kind of process that by myself and learn from it on my own terms. And then I was able to apply myself so much better um, in the next job applications. And then luckily, the next month, I did get that next grad scheme. So yeah, it does
Mhm.
work taking time off. I always think time doing nothing is also time well spent.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the job application process is such a draining one that you need
Hmm.
to be ready for it. You can't just like keep applying, especially when your glass feels like half empty, if that makes sense. Like if you've received a rejection and
For
you're really
sure.
upset, don't try and recover from that in a second. Like take the time and build your energy back up. I think that's a really good tip. I think another thing that would be interesting to get your views on that I found I had to learn, and maybe I probably didn't learn it quick enough, was that it's okay to change your mind as well. So when I started like
Mm.
applying for internships and grad schemes and stuff, all of my friends and family were like, "Oh, Nikki, I'm so surprised. I didn't expect you to like go for a grad scheme in a big corporate. Thought you wanted to do a master's, thought you wanted to do a PhD." And that was what I wanted to do, but at some point I changed my mind and I felt a lot of imposter syndrome about changing it. So I think one of my biggest tips would
Hmm.
be like if you change your mind, it's okay. Like no one knows you better than you, so don't feel pressure to do what other people expect of you.
No, exactly. And that's why I think almost the pandemic was slightly a blessing in disguise, because it gave a lot of grads the opportunity to do their research and think about what they actually want to do. Because I think there's a lot of pressure at uni to just get a job and have something secured as soon as you finish university. But it doesn't actually give you the time to think about what you enjoy or what you don't enjoy, get the
Mhm.
experience or do your research. And that kind of experience and that research helps you define what you want to do, and probably you will change your mind, and that's okay.
Mhm. Yeah, and it's okay to keep changing your mind as well. Like nearly 3 years out of graduating, I'm at another point where I can think about if I want to change my mind and it's okay. I think, in general, don't worry about changing your mind. Don't worry about what other people expect of you.
Oh, exactly. And that's why, like I said, with internships and stuff, they're really good, because that does help you realize
Mhm.
what kind of work you enjoy doing. And if you don't do that, then you're never going to know. Like, Bright Network, they did loads of like virtual internships and stuff. Last year, I was just sort of applying to anything that was open because I just thought, like, I'm not going to be fussy here. I'm just going to apply to everything, which was stupid. So I was applying to things like consulting and stuff, just thinking, oh, like, I could probably do that. And then when I did the Bright
Mhm.
Network thing, which was like a day full of like talks from big corporates, doing workshops and stuff, I hated it. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I even applied to these jobs. And I'm glad that I've had that experience now, because it just saved hours on applications that I probably would have done this year.
Yeah.
So sometimes you do need to go and do those kind of workshops. They're all there. A lot of them are free as well. I really recommend just getting stuck into stuff like that, just to gain some sort of knowledge on the industries that you're applying to. Like, don't go in blind.
Mhm. Absolutely. This has been, like I said, very therapeutic. I'm glad I'm not like the only one who felt like so stressed out about job applications and everything. Thank you so much, Amari.
Thanks for listening. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss an episode. You can find out more about Her Own Boss at herownboss.co.uk or by searching for us on LinkedIn and Instagram.